Hello class. Today we're going over the second part of notes for 1.3 in Survey of Algebra. This is over solving equations that have variables on both sides of the equal sign. So we're just going to practice a bunch of these types of problems. For the first one, we have 7 minus 8x equals 4x minus 17. We need to get those x's on the same side first. It is completely up to you whether you move the 8x or the 4x. That's your choice. I personally am going to move the 8x. Since it's a minus 8x, to move it, I need to do the opposite by adding 8x to each side. When I do that, I have 7 on the left. The x's cancel out. I bring down my equal sign. 4x plus 8x is 12x, and I still have the minus 17. Now I need to get x alone on the right-hand side. I'm going to start by moving the 17. Since it's a minus 17, I'm going to add 17 to both sides. 7 plus 17 is 24, equals, I bring down the 12x. Now I divide both sides by 12 to get x alone. 24 divided by 12 is 2, so my x is equal to 2. Let's go ahead and move on to problem number 2. 24 minus 3m's equals 5m's. Since the m is alone on the right, notice there's no plus or minus a number there, I would move the 3m. Okay, so if there's ever a variable alone on one side, that's the side you want to move all the variables to. So I'm going to start by adding 3m to both sides. When I do that, I have 24 on the left-hand side. The 3m's cancel out, equals 5m plus 3m is 8m. Now to get m alone, I'm going to divide both sides by 8. 24 divided by 8 is 3. So m equals 3. For number 3, we have 5z minus 2 equals 2 times 3z minus 4. The first thing I notice is there's some distribution to be done. So I am going to distribute the 2 first. I have 5 times z minus 2 equals 2 times 3z is 6z. 2 times a minus 4 is minus 8. Now I need to move one of the z's. You can either move the 6z or the 5z. It's completely up to you. I am personally going to move the 5z because it's smaller. So to move it, if it's a positive 5z, I need to subtract 5z from each side. Notice when I subtract it from the right, it is going below the other z term. 5z minus 5z cancels out. I bring down the entire value here, which is a negative 2, equals 6z minus 5z gives us 1z left, and I bring down the minus 8. Now to get z alone, I need to move that minus 8. I do the opposite, so I add 8 to each side. Negative 2 plus 8 is 6, equals 1 times z is the same as just z, so you can write it without the 1, and notice we're done. For number 4, I'm going to move a variable first. I have 9 minus 3k equals 17 minus 2k. I am actually going to start by adding the 3k to each side first. I add it below that minus 2k. So on the left-hand side, I bring down my 9. The k's cancel out, equals 17. Negative 2k plus 3k is a 1k. Now to k alone, I need to move the 17. It is a positive 17, so whenever there's no sign in front, it's positive. To move the positive 17, I need to subtract 17. 9 minus 17 is negative 8. 17 minus 17 cancels out, and you now have the k alone. Okay, for number 5, we have a bunch of decimals. There is a way to get rid of the decimals if you don't like working with them. Notice we would need to move each decimal over once to make these whole numbers. In order to do that, you multiply everything by 10. So to move decimals over once, you multiply everything by 10. So when you do that, it moves this over to make it a 16, minus, moves that decimal over to make it a 4 times a, equals, moves the next decimal over once to get 5 times a, minus, moving the last decimal over to get 3. This tends to be a lot easier for students to solve, and you will get the same exact answer as you would if you left the decimals in. Now I'm going to go ahead and move the a. I'm going to add 4a to each side. When I do that, we are left with 16 equals 5a plus 4a is 9a minus 3. Now I'm going to add the 3 to each side. I get 19 equals 9a. And my last step is to divide both sides by 9. Now 9 does not go into 19 evenly, so my final answer is a equals 19 over 9. So it is okay to have answers that are fractions. For number 6, we have 20 plus c equals 4c minus 7. I'm going to go ahead and move this plus c here. So that's like a plus 1c. To move it, I need to subtract 1c from each side. This leaves me with 20 equals 4c minus 1c is 3c minus 7. Now I'm going to move the 7 by adding it to each side. I get 27 equals 3 times c, and then I divide by 3 to get c alone. So my final answer is c equals 9. We have 2 more problems left to do here. For number 7, we have 7w plus 1 equals 8w plus 1. I am going to begin by moving the 7w. So I'm going to subtract 7w from each side. Remember, I'm subtracting it because it originally was a positive 7w. This leaves us with 1 equals 8w minus 7w is a 1w. And then I bring down the plus 1. Now to get w alone, I need to move that plus 1, so I'm going to subtract it from each side. 1 minus 1 is 0 equals w. It is okay if w equals 0. This is an answer. Okay, so if you get this, you will leave it as w equals 0. Now for this last problem, we have 3 times in parentheses 2a plus 2 equals 2 times in parentheses 3a plus 3. We do want to start by distributing. I'm going to distribute the 3. 3 times 2a is 6a, and 3 times 2 is 6. Now I'm going to distribute the 2. 2 times 3a is 6a, and 2 times 3 is 6. Now I'm going to move the a. So keep in mind it's really important that you move the variable first every time. It can kind of confuse students if you don't move the variables first. So to move it, I'm going to subtract 6a from each side. When I do that, 6a minus 6a cancels out. I have 6 equals. On the other side, 6a minus 6a cancels out again, and all I'm left with is 6. So I get the statement 6 equals 6. This is true. 6 does in fact equal 6. So our answer is all real numbers. If you were to get something like 3 equals 6, that is not true. We would write no solution. And that's it for our notes today. If you have any questions, be sure to contact your teacher.